Over the past year, Canada has seen an increased presence of Chinese and Russian aircraft near Alaska and northern Canada. And although Russian activity is nothing new, NORAD's commander is warning the growing air cooperation between China and Russia has its full attention. Joining me with more this morning on what this really means for Canadians is former NORAD Director of Operations, retired Major General Scott Clancy. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you as well.
So 2024 was the first time we saw both Russian and Chinese aircraft on joint operations approaching North America. Why is the introduction of Chinese forces a top concern for NORAD?
I think that these types of operations, where you see the cooperation between Russia and China, are important for three reasons. First is the cooperation itself. Second is the evolution. And third is their focus. So cooperation, individually, these two nations pose specific threats to North America and especially Canada and the United States. But together, they provide the really only counter to Western democratic way of life around the world in a world of global competition and crisis. They cover each other's weaknesses off. Russia is a waning economic power, but is a globally projecting military power, whereas China doesn't have that global military capability, but they are a global power economically. The second is the evolution of tactics. You've seen this joint patrol that happened in July, but there was a very unsafe encounter with NORAD jets that happened in the 23rd of September. And, this is in the Alaskan area as well, cooperating on a military maritime mission that happened in the Bering Sea. So you're seeing the complexity and the tactics of the Russians and the Chinese evolve over time. And the third is the focus. They've changed their focus from just being around the South China Sea and Japan with their military cooperation to now being focused on North America, where the West is the weakest, which is the defense of the homeland.
So is this an immediate threat? Should we be worried about this?
So as the Director of Operations for NORAD, I would always have said yes. And here's the reason why. The first is that strategic forces like these are used by the leaders of both nations to send very specific messages because they can be nuclear armed. And I'm not saying that's the principal threat. I think the principal threat is very conventional, using the cruise missiles that could be loaded on these types of aircraft. But they're sending messages. The messages are very clear. One, they can project military power towards Canada and the United States, and they can do so at their will and at their time of choosing. Secondly, they're going to do it mutually supporting, and they're going to counter Western hegemony and especially the United States together in cooperation. And then as they evolve and increase their tactics, they're going to move from an element of cooperation towards more of integrated capabilities. These are the reasons why I would be worried.
We're talking about some of the activities that's been happening. There have been a number of interceptions. I want to play one for our viewers right now, like this one. Okay, so that was obviously a pretty dangerous operation that happened in September between American and Russian aircraft. Do you expect we could see more operations like this in 2025?
I think you're absolutely going to see more things like this, unsafe and unprofessional. So what we used to, and we have been working for, decades up in and around the Alaskan and Canadian air defense identification zones, doing the kind of safe and professional intercepts where we communicate back and forth between the Russian bombers and the Canadian aircraft that are doing the intercepts. And we had never seen anything like this before. Now, these types of unsafe maneuvers where you saw that Su-35 come peeling past an F-16 have been seen in Syria, around the Mediterranean, on the Black Sea, with our allies, as well as American and other NATO allied forces. But this is the first time we've seen this in North America. This type of thing, especially in international airspace, is very dangerous, and it marks an escalation. And to me, when you put all of this together, the bottom line here is that deterrence is failing. And this is where Canadians should be worrying.
So, in your opinion, what is the most appropriate response to incidents like this?
Well, first of all, I think that General Guyot and the NORAD enterprise have done exactly what they should be doing. They're putting YouTube videos up. They're showing everybody in the world exactly what is going on here. So that's the first thing. But really, this is about deterrence. So what Canada and the United States need to do is invest in the homeland. Look, we're strong on the away game. So our forces that deploy internationally have the kind of protection that they need, but we're weak at home. We can't protect everything in North America. It's just too large. So we need to decide what we're going to protect. And then secondly, we need ground-based integrated air defense systems and the appropriate sensors to be able to shoot down the possible attacks that come, so that that serves as a deterrent for Russian and Chinese forces to attack in the first place. And this is where the focus of the increase to 2% GDP of defense spending needs to be focused.
Retired Major General Scott Clancy, great to talk to you today. Thank you.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.